All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, we've got a big fight card going at PFC 13, and that is emanating from Rebel in Toronto, Ontario. Goes on March 8th, and we have a strawweight bout going on between Claudia Baril and Melissa Karagianis, and she is on the show today. How's it going there, Melissa?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's great having you and everything like that, and looks like another fight here with PFC. I'm kind of curious, is this kind of looking like the promotion you're going to be, plying your trade with going forward? Because it seems like it is jiving with being like, a promotion that's like kind of localized to you, being that you're fighting out of Toronto, but also bringing in really high level competitors.
Yeah, I'm liking this opportunity being able to fight like local Toronto, like Ontario. So that's really enjoyable. Yeah, and so far, my last fight, I really enjoyed working for the promotion and fighting for them. So yeah, so we'll see what the future has.
Yeah, 'cause you definitely have a lot of options. Like you competed with obviously King of the Cage a fair bit, but obviously you were also with Ryzen as well. So it seems like you got quite a few options for you.
Yeah, I'm technically an atom weight, so I'm moving up in weight again to for this fight. I still would like to go back down to atom weight. It's just hard finding smaller competitors, smaller the atom weight. So yeah.
Yeah, and I was kind of wondering about that because, like, obviously you've competed at strawweight and like you've had a fair bit of success, being that you were the CUFF strawweight champ. But it very much seems like atom weight is kind of your division. So I guess maybe you'd be looking for like a certain even promotion that would have more 105 pound oriented fights. Like, why? Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that it's so difficult to get fights in your weight class. But it's not like you're altogether unfamiliar with strawweight though.
Yeah. Like I'm kind of like in between weight divisions. I feel strong at both weight. Obviously 105 is hard for anyone to get down to, but it's totally doable. And yeah, no, I'm feeling good.
No, and it seems like you're feeling good on a lot of levels. Like I'd seen you took a run down to Rebel, and it just seemed like there was this tangible level of excitement. So, like, how is it feeling like leading up into this? Because, like, I imagine it would be a big thrill. Like, I'm a GTA lad, so if I was, fighting on a card like that, I'd probably be ecstatic myself.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I know, like, I'm gonna have like a lot of supporters, a lot of like my friends, family, people in Toronto coming to watch the fight, and like that's amazing. And it's such a good venue as well. And not very often that like professional MMA comes to Toronto and like to be at such a cool venue. And yeah, great fight card, a lot of awesome fighters and matchups on this card. So it's gonna be so exciting.
A lot of people coming out to see you fight that haven't gotten the chance to already. I imagine there's a fair bit of that.
Yeah, no, like I know I've had a few fights at Seneca with King of the Cage. That's like right across the border, like by Niagara Falls. And yeah, those are like probably the only two times where I actually had like a good turnout of people to come watch me because yeah, all my other fights have been like really far, like international, and yeah, in the states. So this is like just like 10 minutes down the street from my house.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I just kind of wanted to, focus on your opponent here because from what I was seeing, doing some background on her, it seems like she's got a bit of a kickboxing background and whatnot. But I'm curious, like when you're preparing for fights, do you do any kind of like diligent study on, your opponents and what they bring to the table, or is it more centered on focusing on your own efforts so you can fluidly express yourself on the night of the fight?
Yeah, like honestly, I just like worry about what I need to improve on, what I need to do. Like just worry about me. People change, right? You can't like really rely on like someone's past fight, someone's past experiences, right? Because people, a lot can happen in a short amount of time and whatnot. But yeah, no, it's cool. She looks like a good competitor. I don't know too much about her, but I guess like I have a really extensive like Muay Thai kickboxing background too before I got into MMA, and I jumped right into MMA. Didn't do any amateur MMA fights, so yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it could lend itself well to a fun striking battle, but I imagine it's going to be just a fun fight all around. So definitely excited for that one.
Yeah. But I know I'm like well rounded, and like however the fight goes, I'm gonna be able to like handle it. And yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch for sure, but I'm kind of curious as to like where you're getting in that regular work. It seems like for a while you were mostly out of 6 MMA, but it seems like you're with MAFA now a little bit. And also I've seen you getting in some work over at Grants. So are you kind of like cross training at a couple different places now, or what are you doing on that end of things?
Yeah, my main gym is Six MMA, and I train there like 4 or 5 times a week. My head coach is Danny Bouclair, and that's where I usually do like all my MMA training, grappling, all that stuff. And then yeah, I've been working with Crew Gerald at Mafa since like the summer. Yeah, so he's like helping me with my striking, my Muay Thai. So I see him maybe once or twice a week, and he's been a big help. And then my friend Anastasia, yeah. So whenever I'm able to, like her and I will get together, I'll head over there and I get a couple of rounds in with her. She's a beast. So yeah, definitely good training with her.
Yeah, so she's like probably the most regular sparring partner you're kind of getting in work with, or are there some other, regular sparring
Not
partners and
really.
coaches?
Yeah, I wouldn't say regular. Like, I wanted to like train with her this week, but it was hard, hard to fit that in. But yeah, I get like good sparring. Most of my sparring partners, honestly, are like the guys, guys at our gym. Um, we don't have that many like females, so that's another thing. I feel like I'm like well prepared. I feel like I'm getting stronger, and like it's really tough. It's hard, not having many females, your own size to like spar with. But I think it just makes it better. But I do like when I get the chance to spar with train with other high level female MMA fighters, just because it makes it a little bit more realistic. And yeah, and they're faster and more agile for sure.
Yeah, I was wondering because is there any thoughts like maybe doing some like traveling outside of that? Because I've heard some women who ply their trade as fighters in Ontario will sometimes go over to like even like syndicate MMA, for instance, and train with like Roxanne Modafferi, Joanne Calderwood, fighters of that nature. Is there any interest in perhaps doing something like that in the future, or not so much? Maybe.
Mm, I would love to. Yeah, like like Calderwood. I'm a huge fan of her, and yeah. But right now I feel like I'm getting good training here in like Toronto and like locally. It's a little hard to right like right now like I work full time, train full time, and just like balancing everything. But yeah, if the opportunity comes upon, and I would definitely like consider it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I imagine you're getting some really great training out in the Toronto area. So I mean, don't fix what's not broken, right?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, like a little traveling like training vacation would be nice.
Yeah, no doubt. But I was
Maybe
also
not in fight camp, like just something that I can kind of like go and feel it out and yeah, meet some new training partners. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I get what you're saying on that end for sure. But also seemed like you had a cool experience out in Etobicoke. Like you had the opportunity to, teach girls about martial arts and self defense and stuff like that. And that seemed really cool. So I'm curious as to what that experience was like for you.
Oh yeah, I run the Warrior Women Fit program. It's out of Kingsway Boxing at their high performance location over on Bloor Street near like Royal York, and I run it twice a week. I've been running it now for about a year, and it's like a mixed martial arts inspired workout boot camp style. Yeah, so it's growing, and yeah, it's an awesome bunch of ladies that I train, and they learn everything from like Muay Thai, some self defense, and like strength and conditioning. So it's very different from a lot of these like boxercise or like kickboxing programs for women because top by me, professional athlete and fighter. So I think yeah I teach them technique and I get them fit. So yeah, it's a great program.
Yeah, and that's kind of the vibe I got from it. It seemed very oriented to like self defense. Like it very much wasn't like a cardio kickboxing sort of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it seems like you're very much teaching people like, self defense skills and the technique. And I imagine that's cool too, because they probably look up to you and see you in that like role model kind of role. So does that, factor into it at all? Like is that something you like is that something that resonates with you in any kind of way, the fact that you're in a position like that, or do you not frame it in that kind of way per se?
Like a division, like like a role model type thing.
Yeah, just people looking up to you, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, like I get messages from people sometimes that they I guess I inspire them or I look up to them, and like the reason I started this program is because I'm also a hairstylist too, right? But so like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I wasn't like too sure I was gonna continue fighting and whatnot. But I remember like all the time, like my clients and like everyone's like, oh, if you ever like run run like a program, or like I want to learn like martial arts by you. Like you're so amazing, and you know, and they gave me the idea to start like running this program, and yeah, so like I'm really enjoying it. And I've always like taught classes here and there throughout like I guess the last 10 years. But yeah, this is nice because it's like my own program, and yeah. Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna like it's a little harder. While I'm in fight camp, I sometimes get help from other people to teach the classes. But yeah, I love it, and it makes me happy.
No, that's cool you're able to do that, but also I've talked to fighters who will train people and endeavor to do some sort of coaching, and it seems to like really impact their own individual efforts. Like it sort of like informs their own style and sort of gives them a more comprehensive sense of the technique. I'm kind of curious if there's any individual benefits as a fighter that you yourself get from coaching and just training people and whatnot.
Oh yeah, like I'd say it's still like somewhat like newer to like MMA, even though I'm not going on to my 10th fight, but like I only started like not too long ago, and but like the thing is like now I feel like I'm like I'm able to teach and like educate, and you need, in order to coach and teach, you need to know like what you're talking about, and the fact that like I can apply a lot of it in like the ring, the cage, I feel a lot more confident, and yeah, so just yeah, it helps me a lot by explaining it, slowing it down, because the average person has no idea how to throw a kick, an elbow, like a knee, and then when I explain it to them and I give them like a lot of detail and I see them execute it properly, I'm like, yes, it makes me happy.
That's awesome. I imagine that's immensely rewarding, but I also imagine there's probably some music going on during like maybe some of the harder training sessions. Usually when I have fighters on, I ask if there's like any, particular artists or maybe even like genres that they gravitate towards if they get a hold of the aux chord. So I'm kind of curious like what music that you're big into training to.
I like, well, first, okay, when I'm teaching my Warrior Woman class, I know they really like the 80s workout mixes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's mostly like women, right? So, and like in that age group. But like when I'm working out, to be honest, like music doesn't influence me that much. I'm like kind of like in my own head and like really focused. Yeah, like I like more like upbeat stuff, but like I'll listen to like right now like more motivational stuff and like listen to podcasts and whatnot. But yeah, a lot of times I'm just like really focused, and yeah.
That's cool. What kind of podcasts and whatnot are you listening to? Because I'm definitely a fan of those as well.
Uh, yeah, just like Joe Rogan stuff, and like just yeah, some stuff that you probably like wouldn't really know, but like a lot of like kind of like girly stuff about like life. But yeah.
No, that's cool. I mean, good to get a good variety out there, and podcasts can be.
Something is like when I'm listening to people talk, I can kind of like it just like distracts me, right? Because like to be honest, like when I'm running and like doing early morning cardio, it's like it's hard. Like no one, I don't think anyone really enjoys it. And for me, when I'm listening to like people talk, I can kind of like zone out, and it just like gets me going.
Oh yeah, I totally get that. It's like one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't want to do the cardio, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've already done fasted cardio for an hour now, and I'm like into this podcast, so that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. But yep.
No, I dig that for sure, and you've been really great with your time as well. I'm curious if there's anything you'd like to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up here, though.
Mm, yeah, nothing really. Like I hope that let me think. Yeah, I can't really think of anything, to be honest. But yeah.
No, it was great getting some time with you ahead of a big fight here, one I'm very much excited for, and people can check that out over at Rebel in Toronto. It's PFC 13. It goes on March the 8th, and we've got Claudia Baril taking on Melissa Karagianis, and I just really appreciate all the time and insights there, Melissa. Best of luck with the remaining part of your preparations, and enjoy the rest of your day as well.